welcome to Wrapped Up in Film. I'm Zoe. So it's time to discuss the latest installments of the crazy Westworld. We've got episode 3 known as The Stray. So right, firstly, what do we learn? So this episode, it sort of started off quite slow. It's a bit of a slow burn in this episode. It kind of got going at the end. The main characters in this episode, we've got Bernie, we've got Dolores, and of course Teddy. And we find out about Ford's business partner, Arnold. So let's talk about that to start with. Arnold. Okay, so we've got a great scene where Anthony Hopkins, playing Ford, goes back in time and is telling us about Arnold, and we see a younger Ford. How amazing was that CGI? He looks incredible. That was so well done. Outstanding work there. So we learn about Arnold, but this is from Ford's perspective. This is Ford telling us. We don't know what of this is true and what could be false. And he's explaining to Bernie about Arnold. So we learn that Arnold got completely obsessed with these androids, and he got obsessed with this sort of notion of them having this consciousness. And it sounds like he got completely wrapped up and went a bit mental with it, and he's wound up dead. Did he kill himself? Was he murdered? Is he still alive? We just don't know. So there's lots of theories flying around, and most of these theories are about Bernie and Arnold. So one of these theories, that I'm sure you've all heard of, is that Bernie is an android. Okay, so if Bernie's an android, this episode kind of trod on that theory. Because we see, so part of Bernie's possible backstory, if he was an android, is that his son's died, he's lost his son, and we see him on a Skype call to his wife. Is it his wife? Is it his ex-wife? We don't know what's happened there. Played by Gina Torres, who, by the way, I love in Suits. She's a great actress, and I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing more of her. Hopefully she'll come into play later on in the series. Anyways, we've got this Skype call, and we have these flashbacks, and we see what happened to Bernie's son, or, what we think happened. So, if he's an android, how does that work? Is she fake? I don't know. It's all very, very confusing. So I don't know about that. Another theory is that this Arnold, Ford's old business partner, is Bernie. So, again, I'm not quite sure how that would work. So Bernie's sort of secretly running this park as Arnold. I don't know, guys. Comment below, what do you think about that? What are your theories? So another theory we've got is the man in black. Again, the question that we ask ourselves every week, who is the man in black? Is Arnold the man in black? And is he running the park? Is he on this other level? That's another theory. Another one that I've heard, which I'm not too sure about, is that apparently William could be the man in black, a younger version of the man in black. And that's why he's there. Like I said before in our discussion last week, William has clearly got some kind of ulterior motive for being there. There's something going on there about William's character. Obviously, he's fallen in love with Dolores. I mean, I think maybe they've met before. There's a lot, there's so much to think about. This is a real head spinner. And I'm trying to go through it earlier and pick out points I want to talk about. And I just felt like I was going insane, losing my mind. Because there's just so much to talk about. And then we've got this scene with Dolores. So Dolores is slowly remembering. She's slowly remembering, and then we've got this scene where she has the gun, and there's a voice in her head that says, kill him. Whose voice is that? Is it Arnold's voice? I don't think it's Bernie's voice. Another mystery. I hope this becomes more explained as the TV series goes on. But it's great. I love the guessing game. I love the guessing game, the not knowing, with this kind of TV series, you have to seriously concentrate. You've got to know what's going on, and you've got to remember each week by each week what's happened, because just like in Game of Thrones, they will touch upon a subject and then probably not go back to that until another few weeks. So you've got to really kind of remember what's going on here and try and piece it all together. So we also hear about this new villain called Wyatt, which is part of Teddy's backstory. So we hear that he is compared to the devil. Again, we've got this whole new backstory going on with Teddy. So, that's pretty cool. / again, I'm completely confused. Guns. So we see William get shot by a bullet and we see that it's just dented him there. But then when the hosts are shot, we see blood and they die. And then we've got this scene with Teddy and Dolores and he's trying to show her how to use a gun. And she seems to it's not in her capability to actually use a gun. So obviously some of these hosts are allowed to use guns and some of them aren't. And then Teddy's doing shooting at this barrel or whatever, and we see the bullets. We see them sort of. They look like real bullets. So I find this whole gun situation again really kind of head spinning and very confusing. I'm not entirely sure what's happening there. And then Dolores has this real gun that she finds. So she's got this real gun, and at the end we see her use it. Okay, so I'm trying to keep this discussion really short and sweet and just kind of sticking to the points. Okay, and what else do we learn? We see that there is this star map written on the back of these turtles. So is this linked to the maze that the man in black is looking for? Again, there's just a whole nother level going on to this game. And I really hope that in the next week's episode, I would like to see more of the man in black. I'd like to see more of this maze. What is this maze? Does it link to these stars? The episode ends with Dolores sort of stumbling upon Logan and William having this campfire. She sort of falls into his arms. He looks like he's just completely besotted by her anyway. So I'm excited to see more of that relationship blossom in the next episode. And Dolores has stepped out of her loop. So she's escaped this horrible loop that she's been in where she drops this can on the floor. And then she has, Teddy that comes up and says, well, she's like, oh, you're back. And then she sees her dad gets killed and then she gets raped. So it's a really horrific loop that she's been stuck in, poor Dolores. So she's escaped this loop and she's starting to remember and she's gone rogue. And it's a really nice little touch in this episode where she's compared to Alice in Wonderland. Of course, she's got the blonde hair, she's got the blue dress, and she's lost in this crazy world filled with these crazy people. So that's a nice comparison. And yeah, it's just turning even more into a guessing game, this episode. I remember the bit at the end where they find the dead body tied to the tree and suddenly the dead body gasps for air. I literally almost jumped out of my seat. And then we see one of the hosts, this rogue host, which they catch at the end, Liam Hemsworth, goes down to get this rogue host and suddenly he wakes up. He's in the middle of chopping his head off and then he wakes up and then he escapes, but he just bashes his head with a huge rock and kills himself. So there's something going very wrong with these androids, isn't there? And I love the scene where we've got one of the androids on the chair completely naked and Ford, Anthony Hopkins' character, comes up and says, one of the guys that works says put a sheet over him, and Anthony Hopkins' character, Ford, goes, what are you doing? Why have you got this sheet? Do you think they feel? Do you think they care? Do you think they're embarrassed? And it just kind of shows you, this Ford character, he's a really nasty piece of work. Just seems like he's really got no soul. He's got no heart. He doesn't give a shit about any of these androids. So that was quite a little interesting scene for us. Anyway, so what do I want to see in next week's episode? Okay, so I would like to see more of William and Logan. I am really enjoying both of these characters. Logan's character is hilarious. Good work, Ben Barnes. Really enjoying that. Like I said, I want to see this relationship start blooming between Dolores and William. I love that Dolores has gone rogue now. She's gone off this loop. So we're out of that kind of whole cycle thing, which actually I was beginning to get a little bit bored of. I was like, okay, we've seen this again. Her dad's died and then she's going to get raped. We've seen it all before. I'm glad that she's moved on from that. I want to see this maze. I want to see more of this maze. And again, I would like to see more of the man in black just to find out who he is and this character, this Arnold, is he dead? Is he alive? Is he the man in black? What's William's ulterior motive? I want to know more, and it would be really great if we got introduced to a new guest next week. A new piece of meat for us. That would be really, really cool. But like I said, I'm pretty confused by this, guys. I'm not going to sit here and pretend to know what's going on, because I don't. And I am really loving all these theories flying around. I actually heard one the other day. Someone actually commented on my last review that apparently Bernie has created an android of Teresa so he can have an affair with her. Well, that's a new one. Again, that is just brilliant. So anyway, look, no one really knows what's going on except for Lisa Joy and Jonathan Nolan, who I imagine must be loving looking at all these theories that people are coming up with. And that's what a good drama is all about. I just can't wait to talk to my friends about this and discuss crazy little theories that we've all got. And personally, just to go back to Bernie, I've actually got a theory of my own. I think maybe Bernie is real. I don't think he's an android. I think he's testing Dolores and he's seeing how far she can go, how human-like she can be, because he wants to create his son again as an android. That's another theory I'm just going to throw out there. So have a field day below, comment, please tell me what do you think is going on. I love reading them all. I'm hugely invested in this drama. It keeps me guessing every week. It's so intriguing, it's challenging, it's thought-provoking, it's a real guessing game, and I cannot wait for next week's episode. Bring it on. Thank you, HBO. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Please comment below and don't forget to subscribe now, and I'll catch you real soon. Bye.